Hi friends, and welcome to my crafty space, where I share my memory keeping projects and processes with all of you. If this is your first time here, hello and welcome. My name is Krystal, and I am so excited that you are here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you can see all of my future crafty videos, and any of the products or the links that I mention, I will put down in the description box below. So today is another day inside of Project Life. So I am working on week 9 of Project Life. This was the last week of February and then like the very first day of March. So last week. And what I'm working with today is a combination of 2 Feed Your Craft kits. So I really wanted to use the Treasured kit that was released in February to document a week in Project Life, but I couldn't find enough of the journaling cards that fit with the activities that we did for the week, which was basically nothing. So I went into my stash of older kits and I pulled out the Weekends Are For kit. So I've got half Treasured and half Weekends Are For. And that's what I chose to create the spread with. So I also went into my stamp collection and I pulled out both of them. So I've got the Treasured stamp set and the Weekends Are For stamp set. And the only other things that I have here on my table are some puffy heart stickers from Feed Your Craft and this label sticker, which is the last one on a sheet from Ali Edwards. I'm going to use this to put my week number on the spread for this week. So what we're going to do, I am going to speed you guys up. I will put this together and voice over my process for you guys. And I'll tell you about the week and what all we did, or really what we didn't do. And then we'll slow down at the end and I'll close you guys out. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do here is get all of my photos and my journaling cards situated where I want them to go. Then I am going to start working on some of these cards individually. So one of my goals this week was to use up as many journaling cards as possible. A lot of times I will only use like 4 or 5 journaling cards on an entire spread. And this week I wanted to try and get as many onto this page as I could, just to avoid building up a lot more, of a stash that I have to store away. So to do that, one of the things I did was to print some of my photos smaller so I could add multiple photos onto some of these journaling cards. There are 2 of them that have almost like a header on them, and then I added 2 2x2 photos to the white space. Then there was the card that says proof of a good time, and it has like a UPC barcode at the bottom. So what I did is I just cut that part off of the journaling card and adhered it straight onto my photo. Then there was a 3x4 journaling card that also had the same kind of bar lines on it. So what I did is I printed a photo a little smaller or a little shorter than the 3x4, and I adhered it onto that card so then the bar is at the top of it. Here's the second card that I added just the 2 small photos to. And then there's also a card that says from where I stand, and it had a section in it where you could put a picture. So I printed a picture at the exact size of that section, and then I adhered it into I want to call it like a speech bubble, but that is not what it is, but into that bubble. Also, this week I had book club. So I printed off a tiny picture of the cover of the book and adhered it onto the journaling card up there, the lined journaling card, just so I know that journaling is about book club and the book that we read. So now I'm going to work on my title card. I have these label stickers from Ali Edwards. They are old and I know that they're no longer in stock. But I love that they have the 2 sections at the bottom where you can add your date stamping. And so I added my date stamping with my roller date stamp. And then I'm using the Feature-Craft, I think it's called Weeks to Months. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Stamp set to add on my week and my number. So that's going to go there. I really liked this label right here because it's almost a mustardy color on the outside edges, which goes really nicely with the colors of this kit. So when I'm stamping here, one of my tips for you guys is to prime your stamp. So you'll see that I first stamp it down onto a piece of scrap paper before I stamp it onto the journaling card or the photo that I want it to go on. That's because I want to make sure that all of the sections of that stamp are filled up with the ink prior to stamping it where I want it to go permanently. So next I pulled out this page turner stamp set. I should also mention that the journaling card right there, the filler card that says I read for pleasure, that is from the page turner kit as well. Now the kit itself is no longer available physically, but the digital kit is still available. And the stamp set, I believe, is still in the store. So I will link those up down below for you guys. So there we go. So I've got my reading card with all of its journaling. So then I pulled everything back over again. And what I'm going to do is spend some time working through the treasured stamp set as well as the Weekends Are For stamp set. And I will pick out sentiments to go on virtually every card out here. I think at the end of this spread, only 2 of them are left without a stamp on them. This is something I really like to do. So I'll pull out my stamp sets and then just choose one for each picture. Then mid picking out stamps, I decided to go and get those vellum circles that came in the treasured kit and to place them around my spread. I felt like it added a little bit more of that retro feel that the treasured kit has to my spread, and also it brought in some more of the colors from the card down at the bottom where it's got all the stripes. I just wanted more of the like greens and the yellows to be throughout the spread. So then after I placed those all, I decided that I would use this stamp set that looks like the Starburst circle to create some more circles later on. So I will pull off some stamps that will fit into the middle of those circles just to use them on top of the stamped image. I also will pull some out that will fit on top of the vellum circles. So what I will do once I get all these picked out is I will start stamping them. And as you can see, I have a lot of different surfaces that I'm working with. So there are the photos that have a glossy surface. There are the journaling cards that, the Feature-Craft journaling cards are cardstock, but they are almost like a glossy cardstock. They're really pretty. It also gives them like a really rich color, but sometimes that can make stamping harder because you're dealing with a slicker surface. And then I've got vellum. And the thing with vellum is that it does not soak up ink. So like photo paper will soak up your ink. That's what it's made to do. It's made to like allow ink to get inside of it. Then the journaling cards will also soak the ink in, but not maybe as much as the photo paper, at least not this type of journaling card. And then the vellum will not soak it up at all. So the ink will literally just stay on top. So the trick with stamping on vellum is that you want to let the ink set and dry before you move it around and use it. That way it won't smudge. It won't smudge. It won't smear. It'll stay nicely. You just have to wait and let it dry. So now I am pulling over some scrap paper to create these starbursts. That first ink I used was the Ali Edwards Olympia ink. These are super cool. They're like, I've said this before, they almost have like a chalky texture to them. Then I pulled out my archival inks and I am stamping this orange. I believe it's called Monarch Orange. I will link all my colors down below for you guys too, which matches perfectly with these like orangey red cards. Like it is a spot on match and I love it. Then I'm going to try and do the gray, which is watering can. Now, I stamped the gray as my reading stamp earlier, but here's the thing with archival inks is that they stain your stamps. So what I should have done is stamped the orange, and then I should have gone and probably washed my stamp with soap and water just to get as much of that orange residue off as possible, because when it mixes with the gray, it's turning it almost brown, and that is not what I wanted. So I eventually just gave up. Like I said, I could have gone and washed my stamp with soap and water and primed it a little bit better in order to get more of that orange off, but I didn't feel like doing that. So instead, I'm just going to use the tealy blue-green color and this burnt orange looking color. So then I will stamp some of those sentiments into the circles. I use the scrapbook.com premium dye ink as my black ink. It is my favorite. I actually am considering ordering their hybrid one just to see what the difference is between the premium dye ink and the hybrid ink. But I definitely love the premium dye ink. Here is an example of stamping on vellum. So you also have to be like super careful when you press it down. Typically with both vellum and photographs, my tip is to slowly set your stamp down onto the surface. And once the stamp is touching the surface, at that point you can apply light pressure. I don't recommend pushing really hard because the surfaces are slick and so it can slip and cause smearing. But you probably still want to give it some pressure to make sure that all the parts of the stamp are touching the surface that you're stamping onto. So with the vellum, I just have to be really careful, and then I like roughly cut around it and I'm setting it to the side to let it fully dry before I do anything else with it. So I am continuing along just throwing stamps on literally everything. I also have a couple of different sized stamping blocks, which is something I found really useful for just stamping in general. I find that when my stamping block is just slightly larger than the stamp, that the pressure applied is more even, at least for me in my experience. It gives me a little bit better control over what I'm doing, and I just tend to like the impressions a bit better. So pretty soon here, my footage is going to cut out. The one negative to filming videos on your phone is that if somebody calls you while you're filming, it interrupts the video and the video stops. So my sister called me and I had no idea that she called me. Luckily, the only thing that I missed here was just stamping the treasures. That's why I showed it to you guys. But I'm going to continue along, stamping a few more things and feeling all happy. And then it cuts out again right here. Nope, not right here, soon. But it'll cut out again because then my phone battery decided to warn me that it was at 20%, which again interrupted my video and I had no idea. So I am going to get these sentiments, I think these are the last ones you'll see stamped on, and then you will not see me adhere any of the vellum stuff down or punch out any of the stamped starburst circles because I had no idea that it cut out again. Go figure. So I will just tell you what I'm about to do. So I will get a couple of sentiments stamped on these vellum circles, and then I'm going to set those aside to dry. And in the meantime, I will grab my, I want to say it's a 2-inch punch is what I used. It might have been an 1.5 inch. I can't remember. It's either 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it's 1.5 inches. So my 1.5 inch circle punch, and I will punch out all of the starburst circles. So there are, I believe, 3 of the orangey colored ones and 2 or 3 of the teal ones. And then I will place those around and adhere them. The cardstock ones I'll adhere with roller tape, and the vellum ones I will adhere with a tiny attacher. And then that will pretty much finish up the spread. So I will quickly tell you about this week. This week was really not very exciting for us. Most of the pictures were from the weekend. Again, Aaron had to work on Saturday, so the picture of him at the desk or him at the table is him working. And then we did go over to the neighbors to play some games. So I have a picture. The one that says proof of a good time is us over at their house playing some games. And we finally had some sun. So I took a picture of Jonah and I outside and of our shadow. And other than that, it's literally us just laying around watching TV or the kids destroying the house the entire weekend. So it was pretty relaxing. That's positive. It was relaxing. It was not super eventful. We did have a lot of fun over at the neighbor's house. So I'm glad that they hosted us over there. Otherwise, we probably would have literally done nothing the entire weekend. And I did have book club on Monday. But of course we didn't take a picture, which I think is the first time we haven't taken a picture maybe ever since we've met up. So that's sad, but it's okay. We live with it. So I'm just going to finish adhering down these puffy stickers for some dimension, and then that is going to be it. Okay, so this spread is officially complete. It is super bright and colorful, and I really, really love how it turned out. I love that I was able to use stamping on I think literally everything got a stamp. No, not everything. But that's okay. Not everything needed a stamp. Sometimes I go a little crazy, a little nuts on my stamping and embellishing. But I had a lot of fun with this one. I loved getting to use these vellum circles. I didn't even think to pull them out until halfway through the spread, and then I decided to just throw them on here and get them used. And I just love how this turned out. It's busy, but I'm okay with that. It was a fun week. So I hope you guys feel inspired to get your previous week or whatever week you're working on documented and in the books. And I hope you feel also inspired to use your stamps. This is coming out on Thursday, so we are still in the midst of stamping week. So maybe this will give you some ideas of how to use your stamps on vellum or on photographs or as embellishments or so on and so on and so on. Because they are so versatile. They are so versatile. I love stamping. So yes, take some of these ideas and use them on your own pages. Let me know if you guys have any questions about anything I did. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. And until next time, I hope you guys have a super awesome day. I will catch you in the next video. Bye now.